Hello and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. This morning we have Bellows. This company was founded in 1830. It's currently blended and bottled in Missouri by Luxco. Doesn't even say blended, just said bottled. Okay, so they probably ship it in from, I'm thinking Midwest Grain Products, already done, and they just bottle it there. They do have some distilleries for their bourbon. There's two of them they have in Kentucky, Luxco I'm talking about. They're small. Anyway, Bellows, I'm not going to go into the whole history again, but over the years it's gone from one owner to another. The William Bellows Company was founded in 1830. Now, the competitor is a very rare, practically unknown brand of blended whiskey, and it's called King's Square. I bought this at Specs in Texas. This is bottled in Florida, in Auburndale, Florida. It doesn't say produced, it just say bottled. So it could be another one of these acquisition products. It's so light, it's so strange, and it's also strange on its ratio. No age statement for either one of these, so they're 4 years old or more. They're straight whiskeys. But it's 72.5% grain neutral spirits and 27.5% straight whiskey. So this is more pure whiskey than that, even though this is much lighter. But this one may not have coloring added, and that one probably does. So, but whatever. I think I will be able to tell them apart. Sometimes I get these taste challenges wrong. People watched Mickey's versus Pabst Extra yesterday. They saw that, but couldn't believe that one. I think that the King Square is unusual enough that I won't get it confused. But we'll see. Can't get it together this morning. Caribbean Distillers, which is a funny name since it's not in the Caribbean. They mainly do rum. Now I think of their distillery in Florida, Auburndale, Florida, which is close to Orlando. They do distilling and aging, but it's the rum. They make a Florida rum. Okay. Their whiskey, their blended whiskey and their flavored whiskey, which I never see around here. I do see some of their odd brands here and there, like the rum. There's a brand of rum I see at Walmart. That's done in Florida. That's a weird one because it's in a plastic bottle. I don't know what it would taste like. Might buy it. I don't know. I'll think about it. Okay, so Bellows, let's get it going. Now after this, I'm going to start going up against the Sazerac blended whiskeys, the Albertsons, the Ancient Age Preferred, the Barton American, it's all lined up on the schedule. There's a bunch of them. They don't taste one very different from the other. They're coming from Glenmore Distilling and Buffalo Trace and Barton, plus their location in Los Angeles, which they don't really talk about. There's so many Sazerac blended whiskeys that you can't even hope to get a hold of them all. You might hope that you never do. I guess they're scattered all across the United States in different regions, and maybe it'll be a way to misdirect people and they don't realize it's all coming from the same company. It's almost identical. Same with Heaven Hill. Yeah, Jim Beam company's got Beam Suntory's got their hand in that too, because they make Kessler, Sonny Cook, which people keep telling me how bad it is. I've never seen it. And a whole array of Beam's 8-star, I forgot. So these companies make a lot of money off this stuff, this blended 80% generally filler corn distillate and 20% straight whiskey. That's the minimum to be blended whiskey in the United States according to the law. But Laird in New Jersey does it. Luxco in Missouri does it. McCormick in Western Missouri? I think it's Western Distillery, but McCormick in St. Joseph, you know, up along the Missouri River does it. Caribbean Distillers in Auburndale. Okay. There's a company in Minnesota does it. He's blended. I don't even remember the company in Minnesota. Oh, well, anyway. They're out there. And they're almost an innumerable amount. You could spend your whole drinking hobby career doing just blended whiskey. And you might be satisfied. You could just do straight bourbon. You could just do blended bourbon. You could just do, you know, whatever. You could pick one thing. You'd never run out. Not in a practical sense, you wouldn't run out of options, I don't think so. Okay, now I've got to be very careful because one is dark and one is so pale, straw. So if I glance, I'm going to know, right? Can't even glance. Can't even glance. So I've got to be very, very careful. Okay. Okay. Smells like Bellows because it's got a pungent nose and there's like a rye pepper at the end. Let's go over here. And this smells like King Square because it's so faint. A little wood underneath. But and it's strange that it'd be 4-year aged whiskey, 4 years old and so light. I guess they'll be light that way if it's a used barrel. You know, you just may not pick up much. And who knows, it could have been a lightly charred barrel. And beyond that, you know, maybe all of them would be pale if they didn't add coloring. You can add coloring to blended whiskey. You say, what kind of food coloring? They use caramel color, that common commodity used in so many food and beverage products like Coca-Cola. All right, let's go with the taste. They didn't add coloring to Coke and Pepsi and RC, Royal Crown Cola, it would be clear. They tried selling that, remember, clear Pepsi? People wouldn't drink it. They said, that's gross. See, in their mind, it was disgusting because it wasn't colored brown. But it was in every other way, it was the same. Sometimes I wonder if some expensive beers are not colored. Some are admittedly colored, like Foster's Premium Ale. Not an expensive beer. Well, kind of expensive for what you get. There's another one that's colored. I can't remember. It admits it. It says caramel color. But I wonder how many of these really fancy gourmet, you know, $4 a bottle beers are colored. You say, no, they're not. you got, it doesn't have to be disclosed. So I'm going to check the regs on that, but I'm pretty sure it does not have to be disclosed. Because some of them taste so light. You say, how can it be dark like this? Like a Shiner Bock. That's a dark beer, but it tastes like just a regular old beer. And so you start, and Yingling too, you start the traditional, like you start to think, I don't know about this. You say, well, I had that girl, she posted an article years ago on the internet about caramel color causes cancer. And what was her source? What was her source for that? Oh, hearsay. Just something she heard from somebody. Caused such an uproar that Heineken stopped using caramel coloring in their Newcastle Brown Ale. It was affecting the sales. People said, I'm not drinking Newcastle Brown Ale. It's going to make me die. So they went to the color coming from the roasted malts, or it was toasted malt. So you can read stuff on the internet and people will really go crazy over it. All right. There's a big article or a big story about rats in New York City. Rats are taking over New York City, and it's the liberals' fault. And then the liberal papers say rats are taking over New York City, and it's gentrification's fault, meaning, you know, those W people. All right. So whose fault is it? This has got to be Bellows. Now, now which one tastes better? Okay. It's a good question. The price, yeah, it's about the same per ounce, so that won't matter. The availability is about the same, meaning try finding it. Try finding either one. That, you see, that rye note at the end is pretty good here. Peppery, good. But boy, in that club whiskey, the Bellows Club whiskey that Jim Beam used to make, I'm sorry, Beam Company, it was nasty. It was some, it just didn't set well in the last sip. It was a bad finish. The more I drank it, the more I hated it. Luckily, I only have 80% of the bottle left. Yay! All right. Starting to get a little honeydew melon here. You say, oh, not that again. Yeah, that again. I don't think that's a good attribute for a whiskey. It's a flaw. I think it's some kind of flaw. You say, well, hell, it's 80% grain spirits and 20% straight whiskey, and it's inexpensive or cheap. What do you think? It's going to have flaws. It's not going to be right. That's right. And that's why it tastes funny and it doesn't taste right. See, you want to get cheap stuff, then you better be willing to deal. For the most part, there's exceptions. For the most part, weird flavors like this, like that. So I think this is the King Square, and it doesn't match up to the Bellows. I think the Bellows is better. This is assuming I have it correct. I was so confident with the Pabst Extra versus Mickey's. I was going on for 15 minutes. 15 minutes, like what makes Mickey's Fine Malt Liquor so distinct? Talking about this, talking about that. Oh yes, all these intricate things. Then I looked at the glass. It say M. You say, well, that's Mickey's M. Yeah, but I thought I was picking up the Pabst glass. See the problem? All right, now I think this better say B, Bellows. I hope it says B. M. Dan says, hey, Ron. Hey to you, M. Dan. So let's hope this says B, Bellows. I don't even know why I put a tag. One is so pale, one is so dark. That was silly to put a tag. Yikes. Well, okay, it's the King Square. Now that I think about it, the King Square did have a peppery note. If I look back last year to my solo review mentally, yeah, okay, so I couldn't tell them apart. Well, failed again. Now, some comment. Okay, so the Bellows has the weird melon undertaste. Okay. Now, some commenters have said in the past, you need to stop doing taste challenges because you fail too often. Give it up. It's over. Forget it. Well, I'm not going to stop. I may not have much success, but I don't see any point in stopping. And I'm not taking this as a hostile approach. If the people criticizing, and they're doing it, I think they're doing it mostly positive, they should do their own taste challenges on air, and I'll watch their taste challenges, and you'll see it's not so easy. You might think it's easy, and you in your head you say, I know my Budweiser, I'll never get it wrong. I know my whatever brand Russian Imperial Stout, I'll never get it wrong. Put it up against another comparable Russian Imperial Stout. You know what I'm saying? 10% against 10 or 10 against 11. See if you can really tell them apart. Maybe you may not be as an expert. You may not be as much of an expert as you believe. I'm not having that problem because I never thought I was an expert anyway. I was just trying to figure them out. I'm not an expert. Love the live chat, says Brad Biscomp. Brad Biscomp. I love the fact that you're watching. I appreciate you watching and supporting the channel. So I thought Bellows was better, but yet the only problem was it wasn't Bellows. It was King Square. Okay, so King Square wins. It's a fair challenge, same price. So you win, King Square. Florida beats Missouri in football and in whiskey. Cheers, Ronald, says Brad. How many pro football teams does Missouri have? Well, none. They had two. The Cardinals. They left. And then the Rams came in, and they also left the paradise known as St. Louis. So two vagabond teams came to St. Louis, and two vagabond teams left St. Louis. And when I say vagabond, I mean they were traveling teams. I'm talking about the Chicago Cardinals / St. Louis Cardinals / Phoenix Cardinals, now known as the Arizona Cardinals, a vagabond team. They stay in a city for a while. When the host is dead, the parasite moves on to the next host. You say, oh, that's a bad way to say it. Well, yeah, but think about it. They go to St. Louis after leaving Anaheim, which they had done a lot of things to undermine support there, probably on purpose, so that they could claim they had no support there. Then they go to St. Louis and say, oh, okay, we want a brand new stadium, and it better be nice. So they put all this public money, taxpayer money from many people who have no interest in football. And it's not voluntary. Taxes are not voluntary. And so they build the Edward Jones Dome, big, beautiful stadium. And they say in 1995, we have the best. We have the Edward Jones Stadium, the state of the art. Look what we've got. Ha ha. Now, 20 years later, what did the Rams say? We can't play in this dump. This is trash. Now, it had flaws, like a turf field that suddenly became cement, you know, concrete, slick. And then remember the running back he used to be with the Saints. You know, the Heisman Trophy went running off the field and slipping and hurting his leg and suing the stadium because they said it was a safety issue. The Superdome used to be like that. Louisiana Superdome, it was artificial turf, and then suddenly it's just concrete. And I used to look at it, and I even walked on it before when they had Boy Scout convention. And I thought, this is very dangerous because, you know, if there's any kind of humidity or something get dropped, you can get hurt. And that was like that for years. And I said, man, this is not good. And then finally they took the old turf when they had replaced it and spread it all the way out to all the edges of the stadium where at least there was some kind of padding, a safety thing. So that helped. And then now the Superdome has been reconfigured and rebuilt at the bottom level. So it's only for football today. So they've got the grass-like artificial turf from end to end, top, you know, side to side and end to end. So it's a much safer surface. But the Edward Jones Dome apparently did not update like they should have. And so then the Cardinals had their case, say, we want out. Or you could just build us a brand new stadium. And then St. Louis and Missouri said, well, we'll update it. We're not building a brand new stadium after just 20 years. But I said, how does it feel? You stole, and now it's being, what you stole is being stolen. We can't say they stole the Cardinals from Chicago because that was a team that had never had success, the oldest pro football team in existence today. And their support level was poor in Southside Chicago. They decided to leave after 1959. You had some hardcore fans that were very angry, but the vast majority of the Chicago population was saying, so long, get out, we don't care anyway. And kind of like when the Browns left St. Louis in 1954. They never had much support, so people say, bye. You know. All right, so that was not a theft. That was just a better situation. But then I knew people that grew up in St. Louis said the support for the Cardinals was never good. Football team, football Cardinals. But the baseball team ruled over there, you know. And not to mention that the football team usually was terrible, which doesn't exactly encourage people to go to games. They're not like me. I'll just go to games just to go, you know. I'm not one of these rah-rah fans where if the team is winning, I'm wearing the shirts and, you know, putting their team logo on my Facebook banner and all. But then when they lose, I don't know who they are. And I'll say, I don't watch that. I was at a birthday party. No, I don't do that. If it's the team I support them. If they're 0 wins, 12 losses, or 12 wins, 0 losses, I don't do that rah-rah stuff. But anyway. And then they went to Phoenix, and the rest is history. All right, so King Square wins. I'm a little surprised, but not totally shocked. And because Bellows wasn't exactly setting the world on fire with flavor, aroma, and body and character. And that's it. So King Square has a crown, an old picture of London on the label, and it has nothing to do with crowns or London. So it's kind of funny. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with kings, London, crowns. But what are they going to put on the label? The way station on Highway 92 in Orlando? Is that what they're going to put? The way station? You know, what they're going to put. All right. The Interstate 4, showing a rest area. I don't know what they're going to put on it. Thanks for watching this video production. And Saturday we'll be doing Sazerac blended versus Bellows. That should be interesting.